All men are trash is a slogan I have been strongly opposed to my entire life until a day or two ago when I have been done wrong again by a boy, not a man, a boy. And I actually had the realization that the slogan or the quote, all men are trash, is maybe probably accurate. When I was in high school, I had black hair. My natural hair is black, and I'm also half Indian and half Moroccan. So I looked very racially ambiguous, but I was considered brown girl, and I consider myself as a brown girl. And we all have that trauma as a brown girl where there's this white dude that we have a crush on, and it would work perfectly, but the problem is the white dude is racist and he doesn't want any brown person. We Every brown girl knows what I'm talking about when there's this trauma with a white boy. That was my first experience. A traumatic experience because to me I was like, "Oh, so racism does portray in the dating world." In high school I had other experiences with white boys that wanted to have sex with me, and that's it. They wanted to get me into bed. I had other experiences in high school where there were boys, not necessarily white, but they knew I had very strong boundaries, and I had the one boundary that was very strong that wouldn't move or bust for anyone, and that was the boundary of having sex very early on in a relationship or kissing in a relationship. I'm very, very strict about that boundary. And in high school, all these men, all these boys, excuse me, all these boys, they tried to get me in bed so much by manipulating me, by trying to persuade me that look, they're boyfriend material or look, they're husband material. Meanwhile, you're 16. What husband material are you talking about? So that was kind of also my experience with boys in high school. Then after high school, I started university. And at university, when I think about university, I think about this one boy that was uh, close or became close with our friend group. We were a group of friends of four girls, and this boy was very weird. It was like he was trying to pull every girl he could and have fun with every girl he could. He tried doing that with me, but again, I had very strong boundaries when it came to like sex and kissing and all the PDA. And he knew that, and he even tried to persuade me, but it didn't work. There were some house parties that I went to that my very good friend, still a very good friend, that she threw, and I went to those parties, and there I had again an encounter with a boy, potential, talking, dating, whatever. And the first time I met him at this house party, he was great. The second time he was drunk and he came over to me and choked me. Like he grabbed my neck and he pressed two times. He did that in front of people and everyone was uncomfortable. So it's not even about being disrespectful or being rude. Sometimes it's also just in general how your behavior, like how you behave around or how men behaved around me. Not necessarily by, doing me dirty, cheating on me, talking to multiple girls. It's always something in their behavior that is so wrong and so not done that men in my life always did. My first year I went to another university, and then my second year I actually switched from career. I switched from like the study path I was taking. I wanted to do something else, and I did interior architecture. And during my university, uh it was professors that did me wrong. Men men professors did me very, very wrong. There was a boy in our class that was very silent, didn't talk, and I don't like seeing that. I like people to feel included, and I was the only one who went up to him to add him to our group chat. And he also did me dirty because he we started following each other on Instagram and there was nothing. No dating, no interest, nothing at all. And then for some reason, he deleted or he unfollowed me, but he kept me as a follower, which is such a weird thing to do, by the way. But it's small things like that that make me wonder, like, how is it possible that I don't have that with my friends that are girls, but those things happen with the men in my life that I encounter. I had this moment at university where I also started dating, and I went on dating apps. Never again, by the way. Traumatized, still traumatized. And my first uh, dating story, very brief story, was with a guy that I matched with, and then he ghosted me, came back, and then ghosted me again. And he had sent me like this very pathetic long chapter of a book that he wrote, like a bible. A bible. He wrote a bible to me, explaining or trying to show that his behavior was valid and justified and not bad at all and not rude. So again, that only happened at that time with him, with a boy, and not with any of my girlfriends. After him, I got on another dating app where I met my groomer, and he had traumatized me to the max. I didn't know I could be traumatized this much, but I was. I don't know if I still am. I don't think I still am, but I was. And the things he would do, he would constantly try to humble me. He would constantly try to mock me, try to break my confidence. He would be jealous when I went on vacations, which is it's weird. It's weird. And when I also go on vacation, the amount of times that men try to, like, start a conversation with me and then touch me inappropriately without my consent, it's always men. It never something like that, or something of that level of criminality, if I may say, because yes, you're touching me without my consent, has never happened with women around my life. It has happened with men around my life. And I was always against slogans like it's all men, it's always all men, it's always all. But when I look at my life, it has always been always men. And I don't even want to call them men because they're boys. Um, when after the groomer, I met another guy and I was sexually assaulted by that guy too, on our first date in public, which is to me insane. And that only happens with men. I don't understand how men are not capable of keeping it in, of holding it in, of just being friendly and nice to women. Maybe people are watching from my job I did as a student, but I'm never working there again, so I'm allowed to say it. Even though it's in a jokingly manner, the boys that work with me are always trying to humble me. They always try to humble me. I've even had one guy send a picture in a group chat of me where I looked very ugly just to humble me. And it's always men, it's never women. It's actually women there at my job that had my back, that were always very friendly, and they actually knew how these boys at work were trying to humble me. So it's always men, and it has always been men in my life. And something happened not so long ago where I was done very, very dirty by, again, a man, where we went on two dates and then he left me hanging. When the second date also was basically a therapy session for him, and me explaining also what my boundaries were, him being very disappointed in my boundaries, telling me, like, listen, I have to think about it and we have to talk. we promised to each other that we would, not end it in a bad way. And then he never came back to me. He left me hanging. I'm telling you the story in a very brief way. But then we came together with an entire group of friends. He was there pretending as if nothing had happened with me. I'm not that kind of girl. I can't do that. If you want to pretend like everything's fine, okay, you do you, but I'm not going to pretend like everything's fine, because no, not everything is fine. You left me hanging because I told you, like, hey, I have difficulties with this boundary with sex and with kissing. How do you feel about that? You left me hanging. It's weird. It's weird. I realize now, as I'm a bit older, I'm still not old enough, but I came to the realization that the men that I meet, they either just want sex with me, they either want to break me and break my confidence and just mock me, or they either want to boost their confidence and use me as like, oh, look, that's my girl, like I have her next to me. Because that also happened, where there was this guy who had like, not a terrible life, but he had like such a chaotic life. Like, he didn't take care of his mortgage, he didn't take care of his apartment. But on the outside, when you would see him walking outside, he looked perfect. Like, he looked rich, he looked good, he smelled good, he had a beautiful car, he had an insanely expensive car, and he literally just talked to me for sex, but also because he wanted, like, me to add on to his perfect image. Like, look, I now have this beautiful girl and this smart woman who's doing her master's degree now next to me in my beautiful car. Look, I'm giving her gifts, and because she's a good woman. But it was just for the image and for the sex. So it's those three things. It's for the image that men use me for, their image, for sex, or just to humble me and break my confidence because they feel insecure next to me. The amount of times also I have been just walking outside on the street, doing my thing, I have been physically hit by men 4 times. Four. And now I had, because of what happened recently with a guy that has again done me dirty, it made me think about the slogan, it's always men, or all men are trash. And I don't want to say yes, because I do believe that there are some men that are exceptions, but all men in my life were trash. Yes, all men. And that's my conclusion of the video.